And welcome, Rooster Boosters, to Rooster Booster time. I'm the big guy, Scott Ferrara. That is the Mike the Grand Poobah Perazini. And yeah, it's been a couple weeks, but we're here. What's up, Mikey?
Yeah, I'm still, above and beyond, and super excited for what happened this past weekend. Super excited for this coming weekend. Just a whole range of emotions. Fortunately enough, I was able to watch the game at Excelsior, so I wasn't
Nice.
yelling too much at the TV, only a little bit. And so, but what a hell of a game to watch.
Man, it really was. And for me, I watched it from my house. I unfortunately did not get to go to the watch party, but it's okay. I'll deal with that. But yeah, it's funny because it's one of those things I've had so much going on in my personal life that, this show unfortunately has taken a backseat a little bit, and so has my fandom a little bit. I've been a little less involved, but that kind of comes and goes with the territory sometimes, and it's just interesting how that works out sometimes. But man, here we are. It's
Yeah.
holy crap,
I think all the keys to victory that we talked about this past weekend, or on last Tuesday, because we did have a show on Tuesday.
Mhm.
All the keys to victory that we talked about last Tuesday, it seemed like the team, executed, and man, oh man, it was a nail biter from start to finish. I showed up a little bit late to the bar, and so it was already, I think, 10-0 when I started watching the game in earnest. And I
Mhm.
was like, fuck. I'm like, God damn it. Like they're gonna get blown out. Like we're gonna lose. This is gonna be terrible. We're gonna have to I'm gonna have to deal with this. And then, so surely, we chipped away, scored some tries, and we made it one hell of a match. And I could tell you right now, when I was watching at the bar, there were guys, sitting around me. They're like, hey, what the heck's this? I think one guy asked if we were watching European handball. He's like, is
What?
this European handball or rugby? Like, it's rugby. He's like, oh, like European handball's a thing though. I'm like, I know it's a thing. Like, all
Yeah,
right,
yeah,
but
that's great,
this
but
is rugby. He's like, okay. And so, there were people that were definitely interested. I was shouting, and then, yeah, so it was, one hell of a match. I'm still
European
floored by that.
handball.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I mean, I don't know what to. I don't know what to say, bro. I mean, at
Yeah.
least listen. At least they're watching, huh? Did they get excited? Like when you
Yeah,
were
get
excited,
the
they were
guys,
excited.
people were getting excited, people were watching.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we didn't, because the noise at the bar and stuff that's
Mhm.
going on, we couldn't hear, um, what with the announcers, we couldn't hear Dallin and Mike Petrie talking. So, like, in that last 10 minutes, I don't know what was going on a whole lot. I was just, kind of,
Mhm.
is conjecture, like, oh, something's happening. I kind of looking at hand gestures and stuff like that. But yeah,
That's so
it
funny.
was still great to watch.
You crack me up, bro. You crack me up with that. But yeah, you listen. It was everything we talked about. I was very surprised that New England kicked for points as much as they did. Now,
Yeah.
I think I know the reason behind it. If you go historically back to when we're playing them in the regular season, those first three matches, except for the third match, because we were both in the playoffs. Nothing was really going to be moved at that point. Bunch of things. So we kind of put in some lineups in that third one, that first one in Fort Quincy, that third one and final of the regular season. The lineups were getting some guys playing time on both ends. But previously, the first two that were in Hoboken at JFK Stadium, New England was going for points every time they could. And this time they were kicking for points instead of going for the tries. Now, I believe it was a regular season versus postseason change. Regular season, what do you want to do? You want to play a rival, you want to beat them by 4 points, you want to gain that fifth bonus point, and you want to create a margin that's so big in case you guys tie. The first thing they're going for is point differential, right? So I think that set up New England to not do that this time around, and they
Yep.
kicked for points and they took their foot off the gas a little bit. Where historically against us, they just kind of,
I think, yeah, that's definitely the case. All their points came from Bowden Waka, which
Mhm.
was amazing. He scored all 16 points
Yep.
between the try, the conversion, and the kicks, the penalty kicks.
Mhm.
So great on him. But 16 points isn't how you win games. That's not great
Exactly.
offensive production. They scored their first try was what in the fifth minute, fourth minute.
Yep, Waka scored that first try very quickly.
Very quickly, and I'm like, ugh. And I'm like, man, like it was killer. To get it that soon, but you got to think, they only scored one try the entire match. And you score your first try in the fifth minute. That's not going to win you games.
Well, that's what I was very confused about, because fifth minute, Bowden Waka scores a great try. He converts. 10th minute or 8th minute or 9th, it was a minute or two before we scored our first try, and they kicked for that penalty. And I thought, man, why aren't you kicking for corner? Keep us on the back foot, because up until that point, we had been on the back foot for almost 7 to 8 minutes. In my head, I would have said, let's try and kick for the corner and really put them down 2 scores. And even if it's all the way out wide and you don't convert, and Bowden's a really great kicker who can convert from out wide, but let's just say he didn't. I felt it was more demoralizing being down by 2 tries within the first 10 minutes. And maybe Rooney starts getting into the mode where they do when they're down. Because usually, right? Sorry to interrupt, but usually when they're down like that and they're down by a couple tries, all of a sudden they're making that extra pass, and that's when their offense doesn't click.
And then we try to kick. They get the penalty. They get the penalty. They kick for points, and we get one that's a relatively. I wouldn't say it was a gimme, but Jason then misses that that penalty kick, and I'm thinking, oh crap, that now more oh crap is coming. Like nothing's gonna go our way today. Jason's not gonna be able to kick for points. We're just. Like, it almost seemed like, shades of, LA or, ATL are coming back. I'm like, this is going to be just a terrible game to watch. I'm going to be screaming at the TV. It's not going to be great. But yeah. And then it seemed like we got, our feet under us, and we figured out how to kind of move around it.
Well, it seemed
spraying the ball out wide.
And it seemed to be like both teams at a certain point were almost there to break free for a try, and great defensive efforts by both teams stifled that. I mean, it was really like at any moment you thought somebody was going to just slip a tackle or make a quick step and open up a gap, and they'd be gone to score a try for both sides. It wasn't. I didn't feel New England's offense was necessarily stagnant. They were moving in meters. They just didn't happen to score the tries. So I mean, it was a back and forth game, and you had both teams make defensive stands a couple of times within their 10 meters. And it was one of those things that was very exciting. We held on for a couple minutes, and I think they finally called a penalty on us, and Bowden kicks for a penalty. The opposite way, the Free Jacks held us for like within the 7 meters for about, I'd say, another 5 or 6 minutes, and then I believe it was a knock on, and they got the scrum. And that went back and forth for quite a while. But we ended up really coming out and scoring those tries and gaining our confidence back right in that second half. I think usually for us, we start quick, then that second half of the first half and coming out of the halftime, we're very sluggish. We seem to turn the tables. We were a little sluggish in that first half of the first half, that first 20 minutes, and then turned it on afterwards and then continued to move.
Yeah, it seemed like there are definitely like moments of brilliance where it's like, all right, in that first 20, like, okay, all right, now we're firing on all cylinders. It's like, oh, nope, no, we're not. It's just something else is, there's something is hiccup up. There's a little hiccup there. Yeah. And then we go back and the same thing. And then, we draw a penalty, we get a jackal, something like that. And okay, all right, now we're firing. Nope. Okay. It kind of happened. That seemed like that was the case all the way through the first half. And even,
it's funny,
with that Nick, that try that wasn't that great.
It could have been the try of the year. That would have been the try of the year.
But like, I'll give the Free Jacks right. That was a great defense. That was a hell of a punch out.
That was amazing. That's what I'm saying. There was on both. It was like, and prior to that, I think it was Wysocki or somebody else. New England had a try saving a toe tap tackle there. Like I said, their defense came and balled out like they normally did. In my opinion, they didn't keep their foot on the throttle as far as trying to press for try.
But that's the thing too. So normally that, like, if we were about to score a try and didn't, that would break us mentally going into halftime. Like, that would have been the lead right there. Then, everyone would go to the halftime to press, but it seemed like everyone was like, oh, like that was the lead right there. We could have had it. We were that close, no more screw ups. we're this close. We could do it. They're, it's obtainable. They're not, they're not perfect. We could do this. And it seemed like, yeah, definitely that second half talking to whatever was said kind of got everyone, fired up, rip roaring, ready to go. And second half was definitely a different Rooney or Rugby New York team.
It's funny because Doug, I posted the comment by Doug Coyle. Alatimo will kick for points this weekend also. And it's funny because Alatimo did kick for a whole bunch of points in the win against Houston, Seattle's win against Houston, but they also scored like 4 or 5 tries, in the first half, and kind of, Houston was in shock. We're going to talk about that a little later, but it's one of those things where Seattle does kick for points if they feel they can. So we'll see, how that works. I do think, one of the things that made me a little, it just was unsettling was Nihi. Off the first kick, he knocks it on. He knocked it on again about 12 minutes later, and amazingly he scores, the go ahead. So it was one of those things where, we've seen that happen to Troy Lockyer where he gets almost like the yips, and he's just dropping balls left and right. And I thought that was what was going to happen to Nihi. And I think it's just one of those things where, like, every rugby player can't play the best game of their life all the time. You know what I mean? So, but that's how I felt it was going. And then you're right. Whatever happened, after the water break and then leading into the second half, we kept on rolling. I felt like New England was starting to get chippy a little bit with guys like Kara Pryor. But that's the name of the game. Kara does have a history of being chippy back and being the second guy to do something. This season, he hasn't done that. He's been great, great attitude. Coming back off of his injury, he played amazing. And I think that didn't work this particular time. Maybe if Will Hunter was there, it would have been different. But it wasn't. So it's one of those things. So let's just show you I'm going to show you real quick the celebration of our Eastern Conference trophy here. And yes, that's Andy Ellis completely breaking the Eastern Conference trophy with his bare hands, and then Kalolo Tuiloma wearing it as a hat. That was great. It was funny. I loved it. TRN is already doing memes about Andy. Jazz. Exactly. And poetic justice that they didn't screw the screws in tight. I love our boy Phil Harris in the Jacks Rangers show. KT is the man. Threw it on his head like a hat.
Yep.
It was great. And there's a if you check out Charlie Hewitt. Well, it's probably gone now. Well, it might not be gone. If you check out Charlie, no, it's probably gone now. If you check out Charlie Hewitt's Instagram, he had I swear to God, he had an Instagram story of Antonio Kirikiri curling the Eastern Conference Cup with some weight in it, and it's just wrapped in trainer's tape to hold it together. And Jasmine, best helmet on the KY. What are you trying to say, Jasmine? And then she said, oops, I meant to say KT, but she said KY again. Jazz, get your mind out of the gutter, girl. But guess what? You could see Jasmine at Red Bull Arena this Saturday at our merch tent. So go grab your merch live before kickoff at 12 noon. It's kickoff at 12 noon being shown on what looks like the regular Fox network. So big exposure for the MLR this season. It's going to be one of those, we're playing a hot Seattle team. And here's my take on this hot Seattle team. They have nothing to lose. They weren't in the playoffs previously. So if they don't win the Shield, it's not big on them. And they've already been here before. What did we see last week? We saw the two teams who it was their first playoff matches lose to teams who have played, right? Up here we go, Jazz, blaming the margaritas. But they've beaten the two teams that have played in playoffs before, or lost to two teams that have played in playoffs before. So are we going to have that same type of energy going into the final, because we've never been there before, even though it's on our home turf? I'm still weary about that's not where we play normally. It's grass. It's, whatever the maximum length is versus the minimum width, excuse me. So does that make an advantage for Seattle, who plays on a width, consistently that big? I don't know. Seattle can kick, it seems as though, from any part of the pitch and score points. And again, they got nothing to lose, and we have everything to lose. So how are we going to show up and play?
Yeah, absolutely. I think What was the score? We beat Seattle earlier in the season. What was the score of that? I'm trying to
I thought it
think.
was 33-28 or something like that. I'll have to look it up.
Hold on, I'll look it up right now.
All right.
30-22.
Okay.
We
I
win.
was close.
Yeah, close. They, yeah, it's Seattle. I think we've always said is not a team to rest on. Even last season when Seattle was kind of down and out, they almost beat us, and it wasn't for until the last second half resurgence. That was conducted by Hanko to personally get us through Seattle and beat them. It seemed like we would have won that. Even the game this year, it was very back and forth. It was a tightly contested match. Seattle's never a team to be down and out. They were fourth place, but it was a tighter Eastern Conference or Western Conference. They showed they could clearly beat Houston. They beat the Legion as well. They can hold their own. So I think it's gonna be a tough one. I think it's gonna be a tight one. It's gonna be a great game of rugby to watch.
Absolutely. And, the Seawall's back. Their defense is stifling other teams. And, they did stifle us, I believe, in that first half of the match at home this year. It's one of those things where, you had Ed Fidel coming in, and while he didn't score a try, Dylan Coe, I believe, had the interception try to go in like the first 5 minutes, which is kind of demoralizing. And then we really don't. I think we scored one penalty after that, and I don't know. I think we hit the conversion on that, hit a penalty, and that was it for the first half. It took a rolling maul try from Dylan Fawcett, a rolling maul try from Caleb Geyer, and then eventually a penalty try on that scrum that we took them all the way back about 10 meters before they knocked down the sticks because they were getting back so far. So what's going to happen now with Ed Fidel seemingly not in the lineup? That's the question. And here's a Dougie Coyle. I wouldn't want to decide which international players don't make it for the 12 spots in the Shield. That's true. And Rooney is playing in New Jersey on a neutral field, better suited for the team. That's true. I think it opens them up. But my point is, it also I'm one of those guys who is all about rhythm and about doing the same thing. And 2 years ago we talked to Dylan Fawcett about that in 2020 about his process, and he tries to keep it the same every single time. So that way he's always in the zone he wants to be in. And that's how I feel you create the rhythm for a team.
So I think, before you were saying, what are we going to do without Ed Fidel? I think, this past weekend answers that question with Andrew Coe. I think Andrew Coe has been, he's been somewhat of the outstanding. He's been kind of the rock on defense. As great as Ed Fidel has been, Andrew Coe has been just as amazing and or better at sometimes. He had some great, amazing, breaks. He had that last, that try to, put the dagger in, the free back's heart. Had he just, put his head down and, not looked for that extra pass a few times, he might have had two more tries. I think he's been outstanding. I think, he's definitely with Ed Fidel injured, not sure what's happening with him. Definitely, I don't think we don't lose a step as long as.
I mean, I would assume Ed is out for this championship only because if he wasn't well enough to play this week, I highly doubt he would be well enough to play in the championship. That's just what I'm thinking. Because if it was a minor injury that just needed tape and a little stretching, he would have played. He's a gamer, he's a rugby player. But if I consider it a big telling sign that he was out. I got to be honest. I think Andrew Coe and Ed Fidel are the best paired wings in the MLR this season. And just we talk about Coe and everything he does on offense, man. He comes up and slaps guys on defense for a dude who is considered an undersized winger. He really is more of a fullback size guy. He has a lot of experience at fullback, but he's been slapping guys on the wing.
Absolutely, yeah. His wing, whatever side wing he's been on has always been, lockdown tight defense. We saw a few of those tries that he scored off of, he scored one intercept try against Atlanta. First time we played Atlanta, some great blitzes on defense as well. He knows where he needs to be and, how to play it. And as long as, as long as he's there, I think we should be fine.
Absolutely. I think it's one of those things, Duncan Matthews appeared to have an arm injury late in the match. I hadn't seen on it. That's another our buddy Dougie Claw reporting. I haven't seen an update on that. I guess we'll see when the teams get announced on Friday. So let's go through some of the things that are going to happen. So we're at Red Bull Arena. Like I said, kickoff is at noon. The big guy is in section 126, row 1, seats 16 to 20. Come take a picture. Come say hi. I hear Broccoli Man, the Broccoli dude, is going to be in the building. Tony Ridnell is going to be in the building. Matt Cartwright's going to be in the building. Some big Seattle fans. So go say hi to them. I'm trying to figure out a way to get Broccoli Man some broccoli in there, again, for security, so he could do his thing. Jason Zimmerman, booing Broccoli Man. Listen, I gotta let the guy do his thing. That's his fandom, man. But yeah, I think it's going to be great. There's going to be tailgating. I already saw a couple people who said this is probably not manning the merch. Jazz actually gets to be a fan. Holy crap, look at that. So if you want to find a good tailgate, Jazz knows how to tailgate her and her fiance. So go check out Jasmine, and wherever she's tailgating at, that's where the party's at. I'm still working out if I can get on the field for my show. I might have to be doing it live from the stands depending on Red Bull security. They may not let me. That's where you give a boo, Jason. I will also be giving out the awards: Forward of the Year, Player of the Year, and Back of the Year. Please vote on our Facebook page. I will remind you guys, it is not a popularity contest. Please vote on who you think played the best in those groups and for the overall team. Because right now, I love Connor Buckley. I'm friends with Connor Buckley, but some of the Iona dudes put it through the page, and now he has like 107 votes. I got to be honest, Connor played well when he played, but I don't think he played better than Andrew Coe this season, in my opinion.
Yeah. Remember also too, the guys that are up are, when you first look at the poll, are not the only options. You can, click down and scroll through and see everyone that's there.
Well, I did it by positional. I did it by in my head. I went, okay, props, hookers, back row, loose forwards, scrummies, fly halves, centers, wingers, fullbacks. So hit other so you can see I put everybody that was on the team in there. Please check them out. And again, it's not a popularity contest. If by Thursday we still don't like the way the numbers are pitching, and if it seems to be a popularity contest, me, Mikey P, Greg Gradelli, and Dan Brown are going to have to go. Are going to have to go and make that selection. So tell McCarthy that, Mike. Okay, Jason apparently is a little whatever. Red Bull has an interview area on the field level inside. That's great, but I'm on the field, Dougie. I'm the big guy on the field. I'm not the big guy in the interview area in the field level inside. I'm on the field. I'll be wherever KT is stretching, I'm gonna be right behind him, Dougie. I'm gonna run the security. No, I'm joking. But get your tickets now. There's still plenty of tickets available, reasonably priced between $25 and $40 a ticket. I mean, I think a $40 ticket, including fees and taxes, is $42.50. You can't beat that. We're talking about the Major League Rugby Championship, where our Roosters are playing Seattle Seawolves for the Shield. You got to make it, baby. You got to make it.
Yeah, absolutely.
You won't be able to get field access. We'll find out, Dougie. We'll find out.
And then Jason, throwing me under the bus. Mike, you're not coming. I haven't decided yet. I have a rugby game up in Vermont that I'm in.
Who cares?
But it comes down to, I'm going to shout out another Rooster.
Summer rugby, bro. It's summer rugby.
It's a round robin with Rutland. So Robert Bliss is going to be there with Keegan. Robert Bliss, if you want to go to the MLR Championship, you are my barometer. If you say we're going, I'm going. So,
bro, Robert Bliss, we've interviewed Rob. We've interviewed Rob in our fan series, and we talked about it. Keegan. You guys should be at Red Bull Arena.
They were at the Free Jacks game watching, and they said they loved it.
Who cares about a round robin? Who cares? Here we go. See, one thing me and Phil Harris can agree on: how the hell do you not go to the final? Your team is in, especially when you're playing scrummy in summer rugby. You bum. Summer rugby, not even the fall. Summer.
Yeah.
Terrible. I'm gonna have to find a new co-host.
You're not wrong.
Jesus. But back to the match. I think what we're gonna have to do is we're gonna have to run wide. We're gonna have to draw the seawall in with some booming hits. Yep. This is the time where we run our forwards. I wouldn't be surprised if we see KT and Nick Mayhew start at prop. Last week I felt having excuse me, having Wilton and Chanson at prop made sense because they're a little more shifty. They still give us the push we need, but they're a little quicker. They're a little more. They have a little more lateral movement, and that's what we needed against the Free Jacks. I think going against Seattle, we want a couple of the bigger guys there to start to really grind them down.
Yeah, it's gonna. I think our kick game was great. Our box kicks and our kick game in general is great against the Free Jacks. I'm not sure how that's going to be, handled with the seawall. And, they do have some shifty backs and, wings there. I do think, as we said, the field is going to be wider. It's going to be a wider field that does play into our faster, shifty backs, and our strength also plays into our fast forwards as well. We saw, a lot of time when we were getting the ball out wide, we had Ben Benasso, we had Nick Chavetta out there, we had the big guys running outside of the wing, Kara out there, Antonio Kiri out there. They were all running out wide, like we said was going to happen. So I think, hopefully with the bigger field, that plays into our hand, our strengths.
Absolutely, I think it will. And watch out for some of those cross chip kicks if we get advantage, because we've successfully done those in the past, and Jack can kind of lay them in there for us. So watch out for Wysocki or Ko to get in those cross chip kicks. I do think it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough for the forwards to break it. The Seattle forwards do tackle very well. It's very similar to the Free Jacks. So I'm not sure if we're going to have any of those breaks. But it's one of those things where if we can grind them down and bring that seawall and make it a little shorter, we can work the outside a little better. Yep. So what are you going with the score, bro? What's the score?
I am going to say Rugby New York by 5. I think it's going to be another close one, another nail biter. The Seawolves team knows, the Seawolf team, Seawolf team has been there before. They know what's going to happen. It's going to be I think it's going to be a tough one, but Rugby New York by 5. Yeah,
it's going to be close. I'm going to say by 3. I think we're going to do it by 3. See, they expect nothing less. Seawolves by 90. And Jason, the number 1 Rudy fan,
and the Super Brew, Super Brew World Champ,
and that's from the Super Brew World Champ. Jason could suck it, but I love you, Jay. I'll see you on Saturday. Again, I'm sitting in section 126. If you want pictures, if you want to, hang out, whatever, I'm available. I love taking pictures with people. Again, hopefully you see Matt and Tony and our man, the broccoli guy. And, I reached out to some people who have sat on the Facebook page. It's my first time. So hopefully we'll get together in the tailgates and things like that. And Mike should be there so we could do our friggin' pre-match preview. And if not, he'll be doing it from Rutland, Vermont or some shit on the
Vermont.
On the sidelines of his summer rugby tour that he obviously can't get out of. You know what it is? I've decided he paid the dues and they're short on money. And his treasurer's like, if you don't show up, we can't play. And we spent the money already.
I'm the coach, so I kind of have to,
you have to do nothing. You kind of have to do nothing.
I know that's the thing. Like if I was still the club president, I'd be like, ugh, I have to go to this freaking game. I have to go to this match. But now I'm thinking, I don't think so. I'm thinking I might go to Red Bull. So
come to Red Bull. If you're going to miss a match for your club team, this is the time you miss a match. Anyway, I'm the big guy, Scott Farrar. That's Mike the Grand Poobah Perizini. We should see you about a half an hour before kickoff at noon. Saturday, check us out. Check it out on Fox internationally. It'll be on TRN. Up the Roosters. Let's go Rooney, and let's bring home the shield, baby.
Yep.